Hello and welcome to a special edition of the In the Money Players podcast. This is our show for Canadian Turf Champions Day, as we're beginning to call it. It's still Woodbine Mile Day, too. It's an exciting day of racing any way you slice it. We've got 3 Breeders' Cup win-in-your-in races. We've got stakes action beyond that, and very excited to be here. Peter Thomas Fornatal coming to you from what I'm calling the Toronto bunker. As you can see from the window behind, literally underground here. Getting very excited to head out to Woodbine today. And one of the people I'm looking forward to seeing is a man who always does a fantastic job on these airwaves, on the simulcast feed. It is great to have him back. Jeff Bratt. Jeff, what's going on, buddy?
I have to give you the biggest public apology of all time because you asked me to come on King's Plate week, and I said, no problem for Pete, I will do it. And I totally lost track of time. I got things all confused. So I give the most sincerest of Canadian apologies to you. So when you asked me to come on this time, I said, I got to make time for Pete. So I'm glad that we're able to make it work. However, you have sparked my interest a little bit. You're in Toronto. It doesn't exactly look like you're in a hotel room. Like there's some traffic in behind you right now. So is this like an Airbnb? Like have you bunked up with a friend? What's going on right now? You've sparked my interest.
Hybrid. It's called the Ode Hotel, and it's really cool. It is a series of apartments. It's all contactless, but like the owner manager lives in the building here, kind of like a hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but we're right on Dundas. We're right in the middle of everything, and it's not too far. I think it'll be a half an hour Uber ride up to Woodbine. So trying to like split the circle and get some of the city experience and be here for, as I always talk about, easiest sell to your non-racing nut partner to come to this day because it's also the film festival. So we've got movies left and right. Dinners, it's going to be great. Of course, I'll mostly be at the track, sicko that I am, but it's it appears like we're going to have nice weather for these couple of days. As far as last time, it's this just cancels out. If you'll remember, in 2019, I was supposed to be on the air with you on then Queen's Plate Day, and I ended up missing a plane and not making it. So now we're even.
Okay, sounds good. It sounds good. Now, rumor has it that you are like the A1 celebrity at TIFF. Can you confirm or deny this?
I'm going to have to go with deny on that one. I try to walk the red carpet. I'm threatened with violence on as soon as I get there. It's I just stay back in the crowd. I get my popcorn and I leave that to the proper celebrities.
Well, it's great to have you, my man, and you picked a great weekend to come. This is one of my favorite days of race. It's kind of a bit of a different feel than Plate Day, I find. Like Plate Day, it's, all the pomp and pageantry. It's the history of Canada's biggest race. It's North America's longest continually run stake race. It's got its own separate thing on the calendar. But I find on this day, this is where we kind of welcome in the world a little bit. Yeah. And, we have horses coming from Europe. We have trainers coming from the United States, horses coming from the United States. We've got Canadian-based horses as well. So I kind of feel like this day has got a bit of a different feel to it. It's not in a bad way. It's just a different way.
I think that's right. I was really struck by King's Plate, and, it is this like fashion and social event kind of a thing. And there's great racing, but the racing really comes to the fore, and the tie-in with the Breeders' Cup, certainly with these 3 grade ones we're going to talk about, very much of a major racing day. And I love it that Woodbine really gets to take center stage in the whole racing calendar on this day, because of course we're following this great product all year long. So on this show, we're going to focus on these stakes races, and then maybe we'll get in a few other thoughts as well. But we'll start off with race number 6, 3:57 Eastern for the 2-year-olds in the Grade 1 Summer. We're going a mile in the turf. We've got a big full field, but we've got a lot of cross entries. So my first question for you, do you have any inside info or leans as to where these 4 cross-entered horses are going to end up? Will it be here, or will it be in 2 races time in the Natalma?
The only one that I have a real good gut feeling on, and I haven't talked to the connections, but just judging by the rider association here, I think that Erosa is going to go in the Natalma. Okay. Obviously, Johnny V would be a perfect rider for the horse, but coming up a little bit later on, the regular rider is aboard Rosa. So I think she will go in the Natalma. But I think what's happened here is, and I don't know if it's this way down the States so much, but I'm definitely finding it here in Canada, the 2-year-old fillies are just heads and shoulders above the boys right now. Now that could change, as we all know. You and I, we're of the male species, and we know that the female species is more intelligent early on than us. Some say that we never do catch up, and they might be right about that. But I just think that the fillies are a little bit more precocious at this point. But what is really unique about this race here is that we have arguably the best two-year-old in Canada in this race, and his name is My Boy Prince. The problem is, while he won very impressively. Like he won by 14 lengths. You get a 95 buyer. He beat a very restricted group of horses. And now he's changing surfaces. Now he's going to stretch at a distance. And I mean, this is a massive move up in class. I think he's the real deal, but I think at a low number, I got to go in a bit of a different direction. Obviously, for multiple leg wagers, you got to give him a second look. But I just think that, you know, if he beats me, I'm okay with that because I think he's going to be overbet a tad in here. So I'm going to go in a different direction. I quite like Carson's running here for Conditioner Christophe Clement. And with anticipation, you know, he made this big move and it looked like he was going to win. Then here comes the filly and nails him late in the race. But I think that Carson's run, you know, I respect the barn so much. I just think, you know, third start out is really seen on a really good effort.
I hear you. And I think Carson's run is definitely extremely logical and one of the ones I would be shortlisting in this spot. I absolutely, you're quoting from my notes practically about My Boy Prince. If it was just about numbers, you just give the race to My Boy Prince. But I do think there are some significant concerns. But I wonder if we couldn't play this race to get even more of a proper boil over. I think there's some really interesting long shots in here. I've taken a really long look at Buchik as one who I thought really had a tough trip in the Soaring Free against the flow of things. And I was thinking with Kimura up and the blinkers on, this horse could maybe get a better position early, a candidate to do a lot better, I thought. Not sure about staying the mile, but this is a horse that's going to be a very, very big price, and I was wanting to mess around with. And then I also thought that Super Attentive, the one runner, had some interesting long shot credentials potentially in this spot. One of the, is it 5 Mark Casse runners?
But Super Attentive got very, very warm pre-race. There was a long delay as well prior to the start of that race on plate day and made a big move to finish in the 4th place position. So I'm with you on Super Attentive. I have to correct your pronunciation. You're clearly not a hockey fan. That's okay. It's Busick. It's named after a former hockey player, Johnny Busick. And
I do love hockey, and so that makes me feel even more embarrassed that I do that.
That's okay. He played for the Bruins. I don't know if you're a Bruins fan or not. Our good friend Matty B would be upset with you, but
he would be cringing hearing me pronounce it.
That's right.
I won't mess that up on TV. I promise. Busick.
But I like the fact that you're kind of swinging for the fence a little bit with some of these horses. I'll tell you who my long shot wild card play in here is King of the Track on the outside. You know, I don't know if he beat much first time out, but man, he did it the right way. And he just relaxed so nicely and kicked on very, very nicely late in the race. So I don't blame you for swinging for the fences in here, but I wonder if we'll look back and we'll say, Pete, we just overthink it, and My Boy Prince wins. But I think we got to be creative though in a race like this.
That's my thought. In terms of the notes that I'm going to send around to our In the Money Plus listeners, any others you want to name or number check besides the 2 and the 11 here?
And just Tamichi, the 4. I would toss that one, the mix of things. I like horses that are proven on this course. I think that's a big time plus, and the horse gets a little bit more ground to work with. So I would toss that one into the mix of things too. But obviously, scratch time is always crucial, but it's going to be even more crucial coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, a little tough to weigh up from here, though. I think the cases we've made on the runners we've talked about will stay the same. If Irosa were to go in here, that would be another one that I would have as among the more likely winners. But we'll see with that. Let's move on to the synthetic race we're going to talk about in the body of the show here. Race number 7 is the Vigil Grade 3 action, going 6 furlongs on the synthetic. Jeff, we'll keep it with you.
So do you ever find, like in sports, there's always that one team that always gets the good players? Like it's so frustrating. They always get good player after good player after good player. And if you're not a fan of that team, you're just extremely jealous. Well, I'm a fan of this trainer, and Bob Tiller. So he has Pink Lloyd, who's been amazing for a long time. He's just now chilling, enjoying retirement, and deservedly so. But now all of a sudden he's got this very nice sprinter named Patches Houlihan, who I must admit I thought was an over his head in the Bold Venture Stakes. But I found it very, very interesting. The betting public, they pound this horse down to coin off as the favorite. And as per usual, they were right. And the horse did win and kind of rebroke halfway down the stretch too, which really impressed me. So Patches Houlihan is kind of a cool story for me. You know, this is by a small Ontario stallion, a homebred. I would go, if I'm playing like a pick 5 or pick 6 in here, I'm going 3 deep. I'm using Old Chestnut, who lost to Patches Houlihan. I'm going to use Super Watson as well and Patches Houlihan. Who's calling you, Peter? Peter,
that was actually Nick Tamara. I thought I had put it on do not disturb, but Nick must have some important tip for me somewhere. One of the racing jurisdictions we cover, but we'll get to him. We'll get to him later. You can hear him hosting the other late week show. To recap your thoughts here, you like it 6-2-3? Is that about
correct.
Right?
6-3-2 would be the exact order finish. Yeah, 6-3-2.
And we're in lockstep here. I was going to get a little cute and make the 3 Super Watson my top selection. In that, I thought the pace might just set up for an off the pace run for a horse. 12-1 on the morning line. I'm not sure we'll get all of that, but I mean, I do think we're going to get at least 8-10-1 on this horse. And I definitely wanted Patches O'Houlihan going for the going for his own personal pick 6. I think Patches O'Houlihan has shown that he's not just a hunch play for fans of the film Dodgeball at this point.
That's right. Hey, you knew the reference. Well done, my friends.
Well, after blowing Busic, I had to do something to regain my credibility here, Jeff.
Yes.
Let's pivot. Let's go to the Natalma race that, we have these 4 cross-entered horses, but boy, what a salty group this is. 15 potentially going postward. They won't all go, but it'll be a big full field regardless. And I suppose our conversation should start with Dazzling Star, this incredible statistic that's out there about Charlie Appleby winning his last 7 Grade 1 races at Woodbine specifically. Will Dazzling Star make it 8 for 8? I
say no. And that's going out on a limb, but because I don't like to not pick Appleby horses, but I thought the last race was okay. I realized it was a Group 3, and the horse was facing some pretty good competition there. I just thought that effort was okay, and maybe too. I'm just such a huge fan of Arosa that maybe my heart is speaking more than my head in here. But I love the way that she ran last time. She had to wait in behind horses, and then she exploded late. Now you can make a strong case that Ready to Jam was. A little bit unlucky not to win that race too. Had a little bit of a delayed journey in that tilt too. But you got to use a bunch in here. This is the race of the weekend. It really, really is. I don't mind Ozera. Obviously, you win at Saratoga against Maidens. You're doing some pretty good competition. And Golden Canary, they actually avoided Arosa last time out, and they ran against the boys in the Soaring Free, and they were able to win. So I'm very interested to see how deep you're going to go in here and who your top pick is going to be in this race. I'm going to take a stance, and this could totally explode in my face. I'm leaving Appleby off my ticket in this race.
I will try to save with Appleby like in front of the long shots I want to press. But in terms of your main numbers, 6, 12, 14, something like that?
Yep. 6, 8, 12, 14.
6. Okay, got it. I'm deep, but I was going to try to key around 2 in particular. And the 2 that I keep coming back to She Feels Pretty and Ozara. We'll start with She Feels Pretty. I love the pedigree for the mile. I like the way she looked in winning that maiden.
Yep.
That race produced 3 next out winners. I like that. Definitely behind on figures, but I think I sense that she's got a touch of class, and I think the distance can bring that number forward. Eye-catching booking of John Velasquez just has every bit of a look of a live long shot to me, one to hit the board. And then Ozara, you already mentioned, winning that maiden at Saratoga. That is a cool race too, because 2 next out winners and several more that improved their speed figures by, 5 and 10 points. So that makes me think that number might be the official number might be a little low, or at least there's room to progress from it. And that run, so many of these going through, there's all these questions about the distance. We don't have that question with Ozara. She's actually gone farther than this. And looking at those international bloodlines, I think she's going to like the Galloping Mile. I'm hoping we can get double-digit odds. The fact that we both landed on her makes me think maybe she'll get back down. But this is the kind of race where it doesn't matter. Even a horse that has these sort of long shot credentials that guys like us gravitate towards could still be a big price because there's just so many ways we could go. And I do not want to get the way that I will cover these other horses, the logicals, is in I'm going to use those horses basically as keys to be somewhere and then mix them in with, I mean, honestly, as many as 6 or 7 other runners, because that's how open it is to me. You know, the 1, the 3, the 6, the 8, the 9, the 14, the 15. There's stories to tell all over this race.
Yeah, you're going to look back afterwards, and whoever the winner is going to be, you're going to be saying that was probably an overlay.
Yes. Unless it's Appleby, in which case we'll say, why handicap? Just bet Appleby.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. But you know what? Like, I just love the options there in that race. It's just that's what handicappers live for, races like that, right?
It's a great betting race beyond the top one. And even Dazzling Star will be you got to figure favorite, but got to be a bettable favorite, 7-2, 3-1 at the lowest. I don't know. The form just didn't impress me the way, I've been all about some of these other juveniles he sent over here and with the info we have for speed figures, etc. But if Dazzling Star was just a horse and wasn't an Appleby horse at Woodbine on the streak, you'd look at this form and you'd say, wasn't she kind of caught out by, she basically ran the same race the last 2 times. And wouldn't you just say, was maybe found out by grade 3 company, grade 3 company. So that's why you and I are, so far we're going to win or lose together on this card. And we'll see if that stays the same in the race that, I'm loving this. I'm loving the idea of just sort of rebranding this as a Canadian Champions Day to go with the Irish one last week, the English one in a few weeks. But it's still Woodbine Mile Day too. We have the 6-pack headed to post here. And this is one where when I look at the form of the Appleby Giant, I find it harder to be opposed. Master of the Seas coming off the smashing win at Ascot. 2 of the last 3 races of Master of the Seas really do tower over this group.
Yes,
now, granted, there is the clunker in there, but that was coming back in just 21 days. I'm willing to ignore it, I think, and just keep this one simple and see if Master of the Seas can't be a bit of a free square in some of these late picks. How about you? Are you going to give some of the locals a chance to topple Appleby here as well?
Well, let me toss this at you because this is the one thing that worries me a tad. I don't think there's much pace in this race. I think My Seat Cottage has been entered as a rabbit. I think this is an individual that is going right to the front to set things up for Ice Chocolat and Lucky Score. So maybe I'm being a bit of a wise guy in here, and I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe War Bomber gets first run over Master of the Seas and is kind of all out to hold off because Master of the Seas is going to be coming. There's no doubt he'll be rolling. But I think Master of the Seas. I mean, obviously, got to respect the horse, but I'm going to be the wise guy here. I'm going to try and pick War Bomber to maybe get first run. The horse clearly likes this course, but ran great the local prep last time out. Then you got Cheryl Spite. I mean, is he the same Cheryl Spite from last season? From all reports, he's working really, really well. He ran okay, I thought, last time out in the King Eddie. But the one thing, here's an interesting stat with Cheryl Spite. And this is my own personal take, and I could be totally wrong on this. I don't think he likes this course. He's 1 for 6 on this course. His lone win came in his maiden race when he was so impressive on that day. But he has never won since on this particular course. And this is a bit of a finicky course, as you know. So those are some of the kind of little bit of tidbits that I have coming up for the Rico Woodbine Mile. What do you say about what I just said, my friend?
I love the idea of War Bomber getting the absolutely perfect run through, maybe sitting off the rabbit. But I do think that My Sea Cottage, I think having the rabbit might backfire in the sense that might be all a runner like Master of the Seas needs. To get the target to come on that galloping turn home. And I think the short field and it being such a tactical race, I don't think Buick is going to get caught out.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I like if you're going to envision a way to get Master of the Seas beat, it probably isn't going to be with a horse from behind. You know what I mean? So that gets me off the other Cassies. And if you made me pick an upsetter, I mean, I think War Bomber would be the one I would pick. And maybe based on this lengthy conversation we're having about it, I think I need to have at least one thin saver with War Bomber, but I think that I'm still going to try to run 85-90% of the ticket through Master of Seas. I love your point about Cheryl Spite, a horse that has overachieved in the USA relative to the home base here. My biggest concern was if the 5-2 morning line is anywhere near right. I mean, even at 7-2, 4-1, I just wouldn't want that into the teeth of Master of Seas, despite Cheryl Spite's obvious class. I mean, the case for Cheryl Spite's pretty simple. On a strict line of form from the Breeders' Cup Mile last year, 3/4 of a length to Modern Games is equal, if not superior, to what Master of the Seas is. But of course, it doesn't really work that way in terms of the dynamics that led to Cheryl Spite being second that day. So I'm going to keep it simple, but I definitely respect the War Bomber idea, and I'm excited to see how it plays out on track.
Only I'm the dummy trying to beat Appleby at Woodbine in 2 races, but we'll give it a shot. See what happens.
You'll get paid. Well,
that's right.
There is the pick 5 with the 4 races we've discussed and this allowance race that goes as race 10. Not on our regularly scheduled programming here, but there is a standout, I think, that both you and I are gravitating towards. What do you think about this 10th race for those looking to connect these races in an extended pick bet?
So when JP Hellish ran, he ran on a day where speed did very well, and he just crushed. And I said to myself, next time this horse runs, he is going to be the biggest bet against in all of Woodbine history. And then I look, there's no pace in the race. He's the only speed in the race. He's going to wire the field again, I think. So he is my key in the sequence for sure.
Makes sense. Cruden Bay should get a decent trip in behind,
so.
you would think. But you just think the setup is too good for JP Hellish. I agree with you. I saw it as at least on a lot of tickets, just going to be single to JP Hellish.
And Cruden Bay, Pete's 16 starts, 8 second-place finishes. I do not love horses like that.
Gets there and maybe thinks he's done enough. That is definitely a thing. Definitely a thing that happens. Anything else strong anywhere else on the card before I let you go? Any kind of spot plays to throw in?
So I don't know about you, but the better psyche to me is very unique. And with me, I love to have early success on a big day because I get a bit of swagger to my step. I get a little bit confident.
Good mental state, build the
bankroll well. You know what I mean? And I think in this 4th race, there's a horse by the name of Sassiness. They paid almost $500,000 for this one. And if you look back at the Gulfstream Park replay, she had a disastrous trip. She was making a big move, and then she got into heels a little bit. She had to take up, and she eventually finished at 8th. So now she's missed some time. She's now moved over to the barn of Kevin Attard. I think Sassiness has found a very reachable group of horses. If we get 4-1, I will take you downtown on Saturday night, and we will go bar hopping, you and I, okay?
Because I love it.
We're going to make some cash with Sassiness if that horse is able to get 4-1. So that's going to be my play of the day and the 4th at Woodbine on Saturday. Sassiness.
Love it. It's a great name. It's a great case. And Attard does well with these layoff types, right? I mean, this is something that he does effectively. It's not something you trust every trainer with, but I think in this case, it looks very strong. And we're in the right neighborhood to find about, you can throw a rock and hit about 15 bars from just our livers may live to regret this if Sassiness wins, but
I do have to warn you, I have to work Sunday, so I do have to be in by a certain time. So just letting you know.
Great stuff, my friend. Really appreciate you coming on here today and giving your thoughts about this loaded Woodbine Saturday card, and we'll be talking soon.
Pete, a pleasure. I'm glad I was able to make it up to you, my friend, and I will see you at the track.
Sounds good. See you. Yeah, there will be. I'll be popping up to the Stella Artois Terrace today for a few, and maybe come down to the studio and beg my way onto air for a race or something. We'll see.
Sounds
what
great.
we can do about
Looking
that.
forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Jeff, one more time. Thanks to our friends and one of our first partners, a top 4 or 5 client/partner for In the Money Media has been Woodbine. Always love to get up here for their big days. We thank them and Lindsay and the team and Klaus and everybody immensely for everything they've done and what great partners they have been, not just this year, but every year since we started. This show's been a production of In the Money Media. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale. May you win all your photos.